Welcome back to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. And guys, I'm so excited about today's episode. You're going to love my guest who's on today. But first, you know the drill. If you get value out of this episode or you know somebody who would, please send this episode to that person. Let them hear the juice that we're squeezing. And hopefully they get value just as much as you did. Also, if you're ever so kind, hit the like and subscribe button. We've got a lot of listeners, very little subscribers. So we really need you to subscribe to YouTube or any platform that you're on. And if you're feeling ultra generous and you really, really like the episode or hate it, give us a review. All right. They really help us improve and get our message out to the algorithms so that more people can hear Champ Talk. I'm very excited because today is actually episode number 163 that we've done since we've been in the seat. So we've done about 60 of them in Champ Talk 2.0 in this studio, and we've done about 100 of them in the other studio. So it's really... it just means a lot to get this out to you guys. So, you know, if you guys could be ever so kind, hit that like and subscribe, share the episodes, and also a review. And without further ado, now I've known this guy for a long time, and I still botch his last name every time. You know what I mean? I'm going to try on this one shot to get his last name right. But Mr. Corey Adamo.
Adamo.
I do it every fucking time. You know what I mean? Adamo. So, Corey, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. So, Corey's my barber. he cuts his weave over here, man. And the interesting thing about that is you and I met in real estate.
Yep.
So you were moved to the area from Pennsylvania, looking to get into a new career. Your wife already owned the salon.
Not yet, yeah, but
well, she was in process.
Yeah,
got it. And then I ain't got no facts together today. And evidently, you were looking to get into a new career. We met in real estate, and the rest is history, man. So tell us about that journey, man. How long have you been in the area? You know, what happened? How did it work out? And then, you know, what ultimately got you into owning your own barbershop?
So I moved to the area in 2021. Mm-hmm. I was originally from Pennsylvania. Then we were living in Frederick during like the height of COVID. And we moved here to be closer to family when we were getting ready to have our first kid. You know, childcare, everything else is so expensive that we were like, we really need to have that support. You know, people say it takes a village, and you know, it probably takes more than a village. But so I moved here, and after COVID, I left the restaurant industry. I was like, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. This is not where I want to stay. It's not what I want to do. I started cutting hair, and then I found the real estate industry through you guys, marketing online, everything else. And I said, you know what, like maybe I can try my hand at this, because I was cutting women's hair. I was like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do right now. So I decided to take that leap. You know, I talked with you, I met everybody in the office, and I learned a lot just in that office from you, from Branden, from all the other guys in there, specifically things that carried over into my business now. Through marketing and just other business tactics that have been super helpful for me, that are always in the back of my mind.
Yeah, when not to cut you off, when we were at the Maryland and Delaware group well, actually it was a different last name then, but it's Expert or EXP now. I sat down with you, man, and right away, just, you know, I've got like, this guy could do something. You know, It's like, I really got the good vibes. You know, we try to give most people, I mean, we were very, when I was there, we were very selective on who we brought in. It was a very high standard, but we also understood that, you know, coming out the gate would be hard to meet that standard. So you had to have some sort of, some personality qualities and a little bit of vision, being able to have some grit, be coachable, things like that. You know, that I really noticed in that interview when we sat down and talked. And then once you got your license and got in there, you know, it was evident that you were a good fit, you know, that you meshed well with everybody, you liked everybody, and you know, and you also worked hard, you know what I mean? So that was a big thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, we learned, I still credit Branden Brittingham and Rich and all them guys for all the marketing and the content creation and the business strategies and things like that today with my business. But you know, that was about what? You were there about 2 years, right?
About 2 years, yeah.
And you were deciding that this just probably wasn't the move for you.
Yeah, just like
on top of more kids.
In my gut, yeah, with the kids, everything.
Well, more kids, right?
Yeah, more kids. So I had actually had a shear company, scissor company that my wife's an educator for. I had done a bunch of stuff with them before, tagging along, helping out with things. And they had been asking me for a long time, like, hey, come on, like, we need a rep. Like, you know, you're the perfect fit. Like, I'd go places anyway. And with me and my wife, you know, we're both all tatted up, and people would ask us, like, hey, who's the tattoo artist? Who's the barber? Who's the hairstylist? You know? So I ended up landing in another sales position selling scissors to barbers and hairstylists throughout DC and Baltimore. And that was great. The money was good. I got to connect with a lot of people, and I got to help people. So like, that's something I'm big on, is just like helping people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ever like, you know, used Carmen sales, you know, where it feels pushy. Because my whole sales strategy was like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I am just trying to help you. If you don't need my help, that's fine. But I'm going to find a way to help you.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
But doing that, I was hanging out in barbershops all day long, just all throughout DC and Baltimore. And I was like, man, like, I kind of miss this. I miss this environment. These are my people. It's artistic. It's collaborative. It's a community. And making that drive to DC, Baltimore, and all over the whole state of Maryland 5 days a week was pulling me away from my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get up, have breakfast with the kids, head out the door, and go drive around all day long and come home just in time to
So you
put
would,
everybody to
you
bed.
would commute over there every day and back. So you're a 4-hour drive just there and back.
Yeah, just driving. Yeah. And then I'm in the car all day. You know, sometimes I'm going up to Rising Sun or wherever, just wherever I needed to go.
What was your average day time-wise? You know, what did that look like? How many hours you put in from the time you left to the time you came home?
I mean, yeah, that time I was leaving at 8 in the morning and getting back at 8 at night.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 8, 9, sometimes later, depending on traffic, whatever else, you know, or if I was somewhere where we were going to be, where I was selling, you know, I'm not going to leave. If 5 barbers or 5 stylists want to buy scissors, I'm going to stick around and make sure it happens.
The salesman curse.
Yeah. But then also, one of the other things that company did that was so huge and also beneficial to me was that they offered free education to barbers and hairstylists. So they would bring in the top barbers and hairstylists from all over the country, and we would do classes for free, showing how they use those shears in their day-to-day life to make their job easier, which is just huge. There's no companies out there that do that, you know?
Sure.
They want you to buy tickets. They want you to come, you know, pay to see the big name on Instagram and get your picture with them. But they were saying, hey, we're not asking anything. We just want you to come and learn. We're going to give back to you. And it's that, you know, kind of give and take, like where you give something, you don't expect anything in return, but then people are grateful enough that they're going to buy that product because it was such good service. It's such, you know, pouring back into the community. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, you know, we could sit on this podcast the first, what are we in, like about 10 minutes. And this isn't like an origin story. The reason why I wanted to have you on here was because, I wanted to touch on that obviously, but the way that you have came into the game as a barber, you know what I mean? You and your wife already had, once you started, her salon at that point, you know what I mean? Scarlett and Arlo, or Arlo and Scarlett?
Arlo Scarlett.
Arlo Scarlett, I'm sorry. Arlo Scarlett, you know, that was located up next to our proud sponsor at SBY, Cactus Taverna. But that was up there, up North Salisbury. And then, you know, you were already starting to cut. The cool part is I had my long hair, and, you know, Chet had just got his haircut. And I saw how good he looked, you know what I mean? And my son was due for his first haircut. And I knew he was going to kind of like, you know, struggle with it, which he did okay. And I was like, man, it's time, you know, so we had our haircut together, which, you know.
It's funny because you text me, you're like, it's time. And I hadn't heard from you in a little bit, you know, like I'd seen you on social media doing everything, but like we hadn't seen each other in a little while. And you're like, it's time. And I was like, damn. Like, what did I do? Like, did I piss somebody off? Like, does Branden want to kick my ass?
Like a big Bruce Buffer. It's time. Yeah. We're going to fight today, Corey. No, it was time to cut my hair. You know, I had my hair for probably 11 years, 10 years, something like that. And, you know, and again, I just saw the haircut you did. You know, Chet told me the vibe. It was like an old school type of modern feel of a barbershop. You know, I got to sit there and share that experience with my son and my wife, and it just was, it was just a good experience. And then from there, you know, obviously you've been my barber since, and we'll be coming to see you Wednesday, the father-son combo. and or excuse me, Thursday. And but again, the reason being behind this is I think that you've taken it with such a different approach than most new barbers that I've ever met, especially in this area. You know what I mean? You've captivated the marketing side. You also have the experience. And I think that is like full on more than most people can really appreciate from the outside looking in. When you're in there, you understand, you know what I mean? You do the hot towel on the neck, you wash the hair, you'll do the steam, you'll do the beard, you'll give a full-fledged experience along with good company, conversation, atmosphere, smell, you know what I mean? It doesn't hurt that you're in a salon. So, you know what I mean? You have a woman's touch and presence in there, you know, that makes you feel a little bit more welcome.
That's my secret sauce. So I always tell everybody I have an unfair advantage because like you walk in and it's a salon, first you're thrown off. Like you're a dude, you're like, am I in the right place? But then you see all these pretty women and they're like, hey, how are you doing today? Are you here to see Corey? Oh yeah, he's right in the back. Do you need a drink? You need anything?
Oh, well, yes, I do, man. Thank you for the direction.
Yeah, then you come back, you have the whole experience, and now like, you know, you get a haircut sometimes and you're like, damn, I look good.
Yeah.
You know, like you're checking yourself out in the mirror, you're like, I feel good, I look good. But now you walk out and you walk past all these women getting their hair done, all the girls cutting hair, and you see some heads turning, and all the girls are like, hey, you know, you look really good. That's a great haircut, you know? And it's like, damn, I was feeling good, but now I feel arrogant. Like,
but you're not wrong, man. You're totally spot on with that because a couple of your stylists have said, nice cut. Your wife has complimented my cut on my way out. And I think like, you know, looking on the outside in, you know, it's a family business. She has her side, you have your side. You both obviously help each other and work and complement each other's strengths and flaws. You know what I mean? So, you know, what made you decide coming from the shear industry, real estate, service industry, you know, a father trying to figure it out, not much money, you know, right now at the moment, you know, what made you decide to go that direction? Was it all the experience with all the barbershops you're in, or was this a vision that you had, you know, just as you went beforehand? Just give us some deets on that.
I mean, I think it's a cumulative thing. Like it was really just a leap of faith at that point. Like my wife came to me, she said, I'm ready to open the salon. I said, all right, let's do it. You know, let's go for it and see what happens. I was still hustling, selling the shears, and we took over an old salon, redid it as much as we could at the time. And there was a room in the back that was just like nothing, but it was so small, you know, like you remember that first room.
Yeah.
It was a lot smaller than what I have now. Yeah. And I said, you know what, let's just throw a barber chair back here. Like, I don't want to keep driving, being away from you and the kids. Let me just lock in. I'll start cutting hair again. And, yeah, it was just hope, man. Like, let's just do it and hope it works out, you know? But in my heart of hearts, or like trust in my gut, I knew that I was making the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes like my gut, I've got all sorts of problems.
Yeah, really.
my gut's jacked up, but like it's never steered me wrong. Like every time I've trusted it, it's led me in the right direction.
What things did you take from the Maryland and Delaware groups trainings and teachings? And obviously, you know what I mean, the shears and scissors sales, and also, you know, some of the service industry and your experience. What are some of the key principles and tools that you taken from those industries and brought over into barbershop? Excuse me, I can't speak.
Man, there's so many just on the spot, but like obviously the marketing. We learned so much about marketing in that team, whether it was from Branden himself directly. You know, like that guy's been. You can't get on Facebook or Instagram and live on the shore or within probably 100-mile radius without seeing Branden's face talking about what he does and his real estate business. But then also bringing other people in who were experts in marketing and things like that to talk to us. Also like having some core values, you know, like these are my non-negotiables. These are the things in my business that I'm going to do. One of the ones from the real estate team was like clients over commission. And that's kind of transferred over into my thing where it's like community over cash. Like I would rather worry about taking care of the people in my chair than the money that they're putting into my pocket, because a barber or a barber shop is an integral part of a community. And you think about it, like, where do you go when you got a hot date, you got a job interview,
Yeah.
any wedding, whatever, any big moment in your life? Where are you going? You're going to get your hair cut. You got to look good. We want to be the people that help you look good, help you feel good. You know, it falls into that old saying of like, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also some touches that you bring to the table, and why I'm emphasizing this so much is I love your entrepreneurial spirit. We've been friends for I guess pushing 5 years now, right? I mean, it's been, you were at the real estate office for 2.
Yeah.
You were kind of doing your own thing for another year, and you've been in the barber chair for almost 2 years, right? Or
almost 3, yeah.
Almost 3, yeah. So, I mean, I've watched your entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, that's saying something coming from bartending.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in the bartending world, waitressing, service industry world, they struggle with starting their own businesses if it's not relatable to the restaurant industry. Yeah. Right. You have those guys at the bar that, and the people that work there, like, yeah, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do this. And 10 years later, they're still saying, I'm going to go to college. And nothing about that industry. It's a wonderful industry. I mean, we all go to the restaurant. We all go to the bar. Most of us. But it is easy to get sucked in with the quick cash. You know what I mean? With the large amount of cash you can make, and kind of that world. Right. So for you to take that hustle and then get into the entrepreneurial spirit of, first of all, getting in with a company like the Maryland and Delaware group, you know what I mean? That's a big jump, because they're the cream of the crop, and then taking that and saying, this isn't the route for me right now. You know what I mean? I want a little different. And then going into cutting hair, and then ultimately having those touches that you do as an entrepreneur, the mints and, the smell goods, the experience we talked about, I love the decoration. I mean, you really got it feeling like an old school barbershop. And what is your vision for that? Because, I meet a lot of barbers and know a lot of barbers, and this isn't a dig on anybody, and this isn't taking anything away from anybody, but they almost get sucked into kind of the same way that the bartender and the waiter and the waitress get sucked into with, they're always chasing that haircut. They're always chasing that cash. We always got to pay our bills. It's like we never could get ahead in any industry, but it seems like it's that. And I've watched you sit here and connect and network with other local barbers and try to help build them up and share ideas and throw stuff back and forth and things like that. Share some of that. Share some of the networking side of it, and then your vision for what you would like to see, your barbershop turn into.
So, like, as far as like the vision of my barbershop, that's also just like a mishmash or mishmash of like other things. Like, obviously spending time in a lot of other shops, there were things that I saw that I was like, that is really cool. Yeah. That's something that like I want to do, or like even decorations, whatever, just little things that I saw that maybe I kind of might have stole or just copied from somebody else, but made it my own. And I always really liked the traditional barbershop experience. Like, I remember going to the barbershop with my grandpa when I was a little kid, all the old guys in there getting shaves and smoking cigars and reading the newspaper and just kind of cutting it up. And like the smells, like the talc powder and the aftershaves and everything. And it was just such a cool experience. Like, It was like the epitome of like the place that you went to hang out as a dude,
Agreed.
So that was something that I really wanted to incorporate. And as far as like the experience, I say this to people all the time. Like, when the women go out and get their hair done or whatever, it's like, hey, honey, I'm going to go get my hair and nails done. It's like, okay, see you in 6 hours. You don't know how long that's going to take, but it's going to be an all day event. Mm-hmm. And then for us, it's like, hey, I'm going to go get a haircut. I'll be back in 30 minutes because you're going to go to the barbershop. It's going to be a quick in and out. Here's a 15-minute haircut. Give me my $30 and you're out the door. And it's really impersonal. And a lot of us are busy. We work high stress jobs. We don't get afforded the opportunity to sit back and relax.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a space that for guys, you can come in, you feel comfortable, you can sit down, you can relax, you can be yourself. And maybe it's 40 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour or more, whatever you need to be able to sit back and just let go for a little bit, get that shave, get your haircut, and leave feeling better than you did walking in. And that's always the end goal, is to let, you know, like when they say like leave something better than you found it, like I want people to be able to come in and leave feeling better.
That's awesome, man. Do you have you do appointments, and I particularly love appointments, right? I hate waiting. And when my time is needed, I need to get in there and get out, right? Now, would you ever be open to the idea of having, per se, you know, an open shop, like just, you know, let's just for easy reference, the Barbershop. Remember the movie Barbershop, with Ice Cube? Would you ever have that kind of play where you have multiple barbers in the chair and people can sit and just kind of wait, talk, play chess, shoot the shit, have conversations and dialogue? Or would it, you know, remain, you know, hey, we're going to do appointment only, where you get that one-on-one time and that privacy? What's your vision on that? Because I always think like there's probably pros and cons to both. You know what I mean? One, we could probably get a little rowdy in there if somebody's talking politics, which you're not supposed to do, right? Or religion. But two, you know what I mean? You know, then you get the other side of it where it's like, man, I'm in, I'm out. I still got my appointment, but hey, if you want to come a little early, you can sit in here and talk. And then the other point is would we even have conversations with everybody in their smartphones nowadays? So, you know, I guess that would be something. No smartphones allowed. You have to institute. You know, what's your thoughts on that?
So, like, I've envisioned maybe moving into a space where I have maybe three or four other people working with me. Once I'm allowed to have an apprentice, I think next year I can get my master barber's license and I can take on apprentices.
Oh, cool. So it's a time thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I think the industry has shifted, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
You know, before COVID, you go to the barbershop and it was always the same thing. You go in, put your name on the list, and you might sit there for a half hour. You might sit there for 2 hours waiting to get your haircut, depending on the day. And the way society is now, everybody's busy. Everybody wants to know, you know, what they're doing and have that time scheduled out for them. So appointments to me work better. I think we would have walk-ins are welcome if we have the time.
Sure.
But if you're booked out, you know, it's not always going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think people appreciate having that time. You're not coming in waiting an hour and not, you know, the barber's buddy walks in and cuts in line in front of you and it's like, no, he was on the list, man. And you're like, that guy wasn't on the list. People just appreciate that. It's about respecting each other's time.
Sure.
You know, I have to teach young kids a lot. Like they'll show up late and I'm like, hey man, like recently,
just young kids you have to teach them.
Yeah. You know, we'll work on you too, but like I had a kid come in 10 minutes late the other week and he's out front smoking a cigarette. And I see him come in and I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I have a very busy schedule. And, you know, you're already late and now you're out front smoking a cigarette and I'm watching you. I can see you.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, oh, yeah, my bad. And I'm like, how would you feel if you showed up for your haircut and I'm out front talking on the phone, smoking a cigarette, and I'm 20 minutes late? You'd probably be like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be happy. You'd start off in a bad mood. So, like, teaching them that, like, that's another big thing with like young kids and barbering. It's like being able to teach them some lessons too, because a lot of them are living online and they're not maybe privy to the way the world works sometimes, you know, or they don't have maybe the greatest role models in their life, and being able to maybe impart some small life lessons on them that they'll carry with them down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was thinking about it, man. I was like, you know, there are pros and cons to it. I didn't know if there was a way like you can overlap, you know what I mean, time frames and you know, have like, you know, one person's appointment at 1 o'clock to 2, and then the next person's was, you know, 2:45, or have like a barber open up for just walk-ins or, you know, whatever have you. Cause it is a nice feel. And, you know, this can kind of get a segue into into the other area I want to go, because.
Well, on that though, real quick, I just want to say, like, yeah, as a new barber, like, walk-ins are great.
Sure.
You know, your schedule's not booked up, but sitting and waiting and praying and hoping for walk-ins is not a business strategy.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to be a good business strategy. You have to go put yourself out there, whether that's marketing on social media, which I think is probably 80% of the way that I got most of my business. But also, you need to go the old school way too. You need to go out and get involved in the community. You need to talk to people. You know, you go to the gym and you see someone like, hey, what's up? Like, my name's Corey.
Yeah.
I'm a barber. If your barber's ever busy, you know, I'd love the chance to cut your hair. Or, hey, like, come in. love to give you a free beard trim. You know,
if you don't
first
have
one's
any,
on the house.
if you don't have any people skills,
yeah,
and you're not willing to talk to anybody and open your mouth, you're probably not going to do well in that.
It's probably
industry.
not going to be the business for you now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's interesting because I've had a barber or two in my life. You know what I mean? Back when I had shorter hair, that said probably all of 3 words. You know what I mean? It was just like an awkward sitting there feeling like, so how's your day? You know, what do you think about the weather? Oh, those Redskins. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? And that's a good segue because the conversationalist side. I mean, we've sat and I would go out and say that some of our views that we see the world through our spectrums are, you and I are very different. You know what I mean? You have different views than I do. Mm-hmm. We have a lot in common, and we get to talk about those things. You know what I mean? We do talk about religion and politics in there some days, where it's like, it just pops up. Obviously it's you and I, it's not a whole room full of people, but we talk about trending topics and hot button topics and things like that. And I don't think we go too far in, but we do have those discussions. And I think it's really cool because the fact that you and I disagree on subjects and still come to a common ground brings that, old school feeling of how it should be.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I really don't want people that agree with everything that I say. And a lot of people, I think, nowadays are yearning for that. A lot of people nowadays want their tribes to agree with everything they do and say and accept it and have no pushback and no call out. I mean, the president of the United States, for instance, right? Whether you're for him or against him, you should be able to congratulate and criticize him at the same time, right? You should be able to say, hey, he's not doing this well. I got to call him out on his shit. I voted for him or I didn't vote for him. This is not what I wanted. Hey, he's actually doing this very well. I voted for him. I didn't vote for him, but I got to give him his props in that. And that's how it should be, right? We should be able to call each other out on our stuff, or we should just at least be able to have a difference in opinion. Look, we don't see things eye to eye, but guess what? I learned so much from your perspective, and, I hope that you learn from mine as well. But what I do acknowledge, and I want you to talk more about this, is the way that you intentionally listen, and then the way that you deliver, the way that you talk about the differences, right? I think that's key. Talk about that a little bit, because I'm sure you can unravel that.
I mean, I've grown up around like a lot of different people, and then working in the different industries that I've worked in. You work with people from all walks of life, and I've had, just you and I have both been through our own struggles in life.
Sure.
We've seen things that maybe other people haven't seen or experienced. So maybe that makes me a little more understanding or empathetic to other people. One of the big lessons for me, like my parents always taught me, is like, you just don't know what somebody else is going through.
Sure.
So I try to always listen, because especially in today's day and age, it's so easy to be reactionary, where you hear something and it's like that gut instinct is immediately like, I want to be upset. I want to be pissed off, because everything is kind of rage inducing, and we live in these safe bubbles on our phones where you're getting fed this stuff that's trying to put you on edge and make you angry and like make you think that everybody else is your enemy, because they don't agree with you. But most people don't feel that way.
Agreed.
And like, it's okay not to agree with somebody on something. And it's okay to be like, yeah, I think you're an idiot, but like, you can still find common ground. I mean, now obviously there's hard lines, there's definitely hard lines I have, if it's something to do with like racism or something like that,
of
like
course.
That's a hard line for me.
Yeah.
And I'll always oppose it vehemently, but,
yeah, I've been into situations at different places where, this is probably 10, 12 years ago, where, you had the white boy club, right? Where, the older or whatever, it could have been anybody at that time. I guess they're my age now, but at the time they felt older. But the older white guy, dropped the hard R as he's talking to you, and it's just you and him, and you're just like, bro, you know what I mean? And I learned from a friend of mine, long time ago, because when I had my daughters are biracial, they're mixed. I was ready to burn it down, motherfucker. You know what I mean? And then, we were coming out of Secrets one night. My best friend, he's a black guy, and these white boys were going in, and they dropped that that hard R. And I'm like, you hear that? You know, I'm ready to go in and fight, you know what I mean? Because I'm, you know, they call me Tommy from Power, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to do it all, right? And he's like, bro, I was like 21, 22. He's like, dude, if I fought every time I've heard that word, you know, I'd be dead or in jail. And it really put me in perspective for me. It's like, okay, cool. I got it. I don't need to right fight every time I feel the need that something is wrong. But my hard lines are this. You'll never say that in my car. You'll never say that in front of my friends or in front of my kids. You'll never say that in my house. And, you know, I'm probably not going to be your friend. You know what I mean? Like, we're probably not going to hang out on a regular basis.
I think you still have to call people on their shit,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, for me, confrontation resorted to violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't mature enough to understand that that's where that, you know, it didn't have to go to violence for that to happen. Mm-hmm. And of course, I remember working at a body shop and like I said, the good old boy network, you know, and this was back in the day. I don't hear it ever anymore. You know, I don't hear anybody ever talking. So there's been a lot of changes, I think, in the last 15 years, and to the good is no matter what the internet or media wants to say. But I remember we'd have, you know, maybe a single mom, single black lady with, you know, 2, 3 kids that are playing in the play area and they're doing what kids do. They're having a blast, they're loud, or, you know what I mean? Mom's doing the best she can, or she might not have been single. Maybe dad was just working. Who the fuck knows? And, you know, you had the guy just like so disapproved, you know what I mean? You could tell where he was raised, you know, and I try not to judge, but I pick up on all the vibes, you know, because all my friends were black and, you know, I'm in the hood back then. So, you know, I'm trapping. Anyway, long story short, they leave and we go outside. I'm writing estimates and he comes out and they would almost always, I could tell which one we're going to say some stupid shit, right? Always say something stupid, like fucking some sort of racial slur or some sort of, you know, relative to, you know what I mean, how it should be and all this, right? And I just eat it. I wouldn't say nothing. I just smile, you know, almost like, yes, ass, I hear you, right? And but I'd make sure every fucking time when I get to my desk and I'm writing my estimate, you know what I mean? I'm talking to them. I'd make sure I'd find a keen way to turn around, let them see my little black babies, you know what I mean? And they would melt every single time out of embarrassment and humility because, you know, the way that I delivered it was basically a soft call out, you know what I mean? Like, you know, this isn't right. But anyway, I digress. You know, you're holding your integrity while disagreeing in that chair while you're serving somebody and you need their money, you need that, you know, you need to collect that paycheck, and also you want to do a good job, you want to keep a good business reputation, you want to get the referrals, but also hold your integrity, I think, is a unique skill and a unique gift that I know that you possess, and it's interesting to watch that and be a part of that, man. Shifted gears, you know what I mean? You just got back from a huge barber show. What talk to us about that?
So it was the IBS, not like the condition I have, but International Beauty Show.
Okay.
They also call it Be Well. It's like a beauty and wellness show. So it's definitely geared more towards hairstylists, estheticians. They did have a couple things for barbers there, but my wife really wanted to go. All the girls at the salon really wanted to go. So we kind of made it a group thing. Everybody went up. I got to take some classes, which was awesome. Specifically, a really great class on beards, beard grooming, with like an expert. I can't remember his last name now. Actually, I think it's Sheldon Marcel. He's like an expert in straight razor shaving with Perasso, which is a huge Italian shaving brand that also makes really great beard products. And just really learning how like people in other places are doing similar things to me and how I can elevate those things, but then getting to see so many people that I look up to in the industry, that getting to talk and learn with them, you know, and like soak up that knowledge from them is just so huge. Like it's such a great feeling and experience, and just feel reinvigorated because I consider myself a student of the game. Absolutely. You know, like I always want to be learning. There's always something new to learn. Being a barber, you know, it's part of the beauty industry. And with fashion and everything else, there's trends. So it's always evolving, and there's always going to be something new. And the kids are always going to want a different haircut, or there's going to be a new trend or style or technique.
Like the alpaca right now, right?
Yeah,
the alpaca haircut.
The broccoli cuts. But it's like, and now the kids are moving even more to longer hair. So like for me, that's been my bread and butter, because I started out cutting long hair. I understand how to cut long hair. Now when guys want to grow their hair out, they don't want to go to the barbershop where they go and get this nice, crisp, blurry fade,
Sure.
because the guy that is doing that with the clippers might not know what he's doing with the scissors.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to get it jacked up. So you see them moving towards salons because they want to have long hair. They want to take care of it. And people are starting to care more about, you know, taking care of themselves as a whole. And their hair is part of that.
I agree.
I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Well, why I was bringing that up was is that's like kind of a part of what you do, and you know now you've been asked to do some workshops yourself, do some trainings yourself, and it just seems like, you know what I mean, like, and I'm not trying to get, you know, ahead of the carriage here. It just seems like you're on the path to be bigger than just barbershop or just cutting hair, right? That's always going to be a part of you, and I know that you like that, and but I having the conversations and the interactions, knowing where your mind is and knowing the things that you're where you're going and how you run the shop over there and how your wife runs the shop and so forth. It just seems like, you know, you're destined for things that are a little bit more than just cutting hair. You know what I mean? It looks like managing barbers and having those special clients that, you know, probably pay that special rate and want those special cuts and have, or maybe fill your cup for the day or whatever that case may be. But going on to, you know, teaching other barbers and adding little workshops to your resume and things like that. Am I off on that?
I don't think you're off on it. I think I have a lot of big ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I love to teach. So teaching is a big thing for me, and passing on that knowledge to other people. Like when I learn something new, I'm really excited to tell somebody else about it, but also to tell my clients about it, to educate them when I get a new product. And like, you know, I get to use that on them. Like, man, that smells really nice. And I can be like, yeah, well, it's made with this, this, and this, and this is why it's good for you, you know, and this is why I'm using it. And this is why it's part of the experience, you know, and then they get to leave like, wow, I didn't know that product did this, or that, you know, I was using this wrong the whole time, or that I didn't know how to use this product in my hair before, and that's why it didn't look the way I wanted it to look.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a collaborative thing. But yeah, I do, you know, see myself doing some other things. A barber school is something that I have a big ambition for here on the Eastern Shore, because we don't have a school for barbers here. You have to travel or you have to apprentice under somebody. And maybe if you're in a certain phase in your life, you know, you've got kids, you've got a job, you're working full time. It's
Like
not,
you.
yeah, it's not easy. I know it's not easy to do it. I did it.
Yeah, really.
And it sucked, but,
And what better person to learn from if somebody's been through it? You know?
And I think the industry is shifting and evolving. I think, well, also to your point, like, I don't ever want anybody who cuts hair, whether they're barber or hairstylist, to feel like you're just cutting hair, because it's so much more than that.
Agreed.
You know, and I think people are afraid to get into it, or they feel ashamed when like it's looked at as like you're just cutting hair. And we know it's so much more than that. You know, we're helping people feel better. We're teaching people. We are sometimes a therapist, a shoulder to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool to not only grow in your business, but to watch your clients grow. The longer you're in it, you get to see people go through their own trials and tribulations, and you're there the whole time, especially as a barber, where you're seeing these people usually at least once a month, maybe every 2 weeks. And like 2 years down the road, you're like, look how far this dude has come.
Yeah, man.
You know, and that's such a cool part, just to be part of that journey. But I do want to do other things. I don't know what the universe or, you know, God or whatever has in store for me, but, you know, I'm going to keep working towards those things and trying to be better, pour back into my community, and hopefully be able to pass my knowledge on to more people.
Nice,
you know?
man. Yeah, I just see that. I envision that, you know, with you, because of the ambitions and the things that you talk about, and it just, you know, I could see you running a barber school and being responsible for a lot of people, man, because you do have a passion for helping people and looking out for people, and I would go on and say you're a lover of humanity, you know what I mean, and things like that. So watching others win and being a part of that journey is it's written all over you, dude. It's all you
Yeah.
talk about. You know, the only bad part is I have to find a new barber. You know what I mean? So
No, we'll still make it work.
I ain't paying $100 a haircut. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's another like problem in the industry is like a lot of these young kids see the things on TikTok and Instagram, and you're seeing these guys that are like, yeah, I charge 100, I charge 200 a cut. And they're like, this guy drove 2 hours to come see me and he paid $200, and it's his buddy that lives next door.
Yeah.
You know, and there's people now selling these mentorships where it's like, you know, pay us $10,000 and we'll teach you how to make $10,000 a month.
Right.
And really they're just teaching you to lie to people on TikTok. And, you know, you're building that clientele maybe through that popularity, but it's a trend and it's going to die.
Yep.
And you're seeing a lot of barbers that aren't hitting that mark, and then they're getting discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like in the real estate or even in the gym business, you've got to push past. There's that wall that you hit, you know what I mean? Where it's like, this is the sink or swim point. And a lot of people don't choose to push past that wall. They hit that 2-year mark and they drop off. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side. They see the shiny object. Well, I can make more money doing this, and they stop.
Yeah. Or they get to a point where, like you said, the trending quick clientele base pops off, and then when that dies down and their gimmick runs out and it doesn't work anymore, they have no clue how to get business.
Exactly.
They don't have no clue how to go out here and shake hands and kiss babies, how to market themselves without having some sort of, you know, buy my shit. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. And you see it in a lot of industries. You see it in real estate. You see it in the gym business. You see it in a lot of places where people don't really just build a community, a brand, a business. You know, they don't build the essential, use the foundational blocks to build that. It's all about like, hey, let's get rich quick, or let's get in here now. And again, like you said, they're on to the next venture, rinse and repeat. And
well, we live in a instant gratification society. So like people they see the good things on Instagram, TikTok, and they're like, I want to be like that guy. I want to make money, and I want to get out of barber school, and I want to make $100 a cut because I can do the blurriest fade. And it's like, nobody cares how blurry your fade is if you don't have the customer service and the experience to back it up. What are you doing to be able to ask for $100 from that person? If they're just coming in and you're just fading them up.
Yeah, that's not it.
What? Like, you know, you're not going to put a hot towel on their neck and shave them and like give them a full experience, because that's what you do. You create an experience. That's when people are willing to pay money to come see you, especially if you're busy. You know, like, I want to get in with that guy because he's going to take care of me. He knows what he's talking about. He's taking his time to pay attention to the little details.
He's going to be on time. He's going to have fresh mints. You know, he's going to have all these great things, good product to sell. You know, there's a lot you put into it, man. And I appreciate it. You know what I mean? And I'm lying, man. So if I get the right experience, man, I'll pay for it. We're wrapping up, man. So, you know, I look, man, I love to watch your journey and watch how you've grown and manage your life with, you know, your family, you know, supporting your wife, who's an entrepreneur as well. You know, you guys work very hard. You know, you guys are stand-up people. You know, you got a crew of people that you take care of and that you have their backs as well. So watching this and watching the building blocks and going from the spot up north to the spot, you know, down by the college, South 13, which is cool because you got two really good businesses. You know, I know one we can talk about, but we got two really good businesses that are popping up right there. Yep. Along with the other existing businesses.
That's going to be a problem for me too, because I got, you know, I'm already all caffeinated up. You know, I'm having Rise Up right next door. I'm going to be over there all the time.
I know it. But it's also going to be a great exposure because a lot of people, you know, some people just don't. You can ride by something every single day and not even look at it and know it's there until, you know, it smacks you in the face.
That's why marketing's so important, again, to loop back into that. Like, yeah, there's signs on the road and stuff, but like, you don't know every business that's on, like, just for our area of Route 13. You drive by it so fast. We are in a fast-paced society. I got things to do. I don't have time to be looking out the window.
Especially if you're texting and driving or uploading posts. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But no, man, I'm proud of your journey, and I appreciate the work that you put in. And you know, I've told you this many times, dude. I like my haircuts. by the way, does it look good? You know?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get cleaned up a little bit more this week
checking.
anyway.
But I like my haircuts, obviously, but the father-son bonding time, man, and just having him there, even when he's squirrely and he's, you know, got to use the bathroom, and some days are just a little tougher than others, man. It's just, it's something that I cherish, man, and it's something that I never had with my girls, and I get to share that at your spot, you know, and it feels like that. I don't have to take them to a place where you're just another number, or you're going and don't know who's cutting your hair, and you flip a coin if it's going to be a good one, and the conversation can be a little stale or maybe a little surface level. You know, I want him to learn those core things, because when he has boys of his own, I want him to be able to do the same thing. And,
yeah, I mean, it's something that you can do with him your whole life too.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
And like when he has a kid of his own,
all three of
you can go get your hair cut together.
Yep.
You know,
yeah,
like
I love the way I love what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You know?
But like,
no, you're not wrong there, man. That's exactly right. You know, we get to share that. You know, I can be an old man and he could take me one day.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I love what you're doing, man. This is your time to so thank you, and thank you for being on. But where can we find you? This is your time to put your plugs in there, because this conversation flew by, man. It was really good conversation.
Well, before that, I just want to say, like, I also really appreciate you, like, as a friend, as somebody I can look to as a mentor, and like as a client as well. You know, like, you've been huge. You've helped promote my business as well. I've had multiple people from the gym come in, and like, it's just the relationship that we have. I appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
It's something that I hold close to me as well.
Thank you, brother.
But yeah, if anybody wants to find me, our salon is called Arlo Scarlet Salon. It's named after our kids. I may or may not have a barbershop in the near future, but we won't get too ahead of ourselves announcing anything. My socials, you can find me Chop by Corey on any social media. And yeah, if you ever want to find me, just come into the shop, man. Yeah, check out his Instagram and pages, man, and TikTok, because it is great content, a lot of value, and just really entertaining. You know what I mean? So you'll see who's going to cut your hair. But that'll wrap us up for another episode of Champ Talk. Corey, thank you for being on today, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Listen, if you get value out of this, or know somebody who would, you know, please share this with them. Send it over to them. Let them get a little taste of some of the things that we talk on here. And just want to thank you all for listening constantly. And again, see y'all next time. What are you doing today to become a champion?